Greetings, my Israelite brothers and sisters, heirs, joint heirs, adopted, grafted. I hope that my phone stopper doesn't fall off. I'm hitting a lot of bumps on roads and all like that. Just want to say greetings. This is the first day of the week, 66 degrees for Super Bowl weekend here in Miami, Florida. February the 2nd, 20. People everywhere. The city is packed. I guess it's a good group. This is a team that people want to see, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. How you doing, Laughter? So I was able to catch up last night on some of the things that have taken place in the world. I thought I would touch base on them because I often talk about them from time to time, not every car count, but sometimes. Let's start with the global level. How you doing, Sister KT, Brother Kenneth? So Britain has officially left the European Union. They have to because they are a Protestant country. And this is the EU, which is a part of the scriptures. Maybe I do a lesson on that sometimes in the future on the Friday night. We'll talk about the gospel according to the prophets. I haven't done that lesson in quite some time. But Brexit, B-R-E-X-I-T. I'm going to share with you what little I know. It will sound like I know a lot, but it's only a little. So what that means is with Britain leaving the European Union, let's talk about what the European Union allows. The European Union allows free trade amongst the European countries. And there's a lot of nations or countries or regions that's a part of that. And what it allows is if you have, let's say you grow apples in one country, but yet you got a store, an apple pie store in another country, and you need those apples to come over. You can bring your apples and there's no tariffs. The trucks that carry those apples can freely go across different country borders without all of these stops and checkpoints. That's basically what the European Union allowed you to do. So you can also say, well, wait a minute, my apples over here in Belgium, France got apples and they're cheaper, so I'm gonna get those, and it takes, I can freely bring those across boundaries and country lines without tariffs and the truckers being stopped and what have you like that. You can just freely move and travel as you want throughout the entire region. That's what it would allow. Also, it allows individuals. You can live in one country or be a citizen of one country and yet work in another country because there was no work visas or any of that type of thing. The restrictions and the levels that you would want others would have to go through because you were part of the European Union. The protocols are not as strict as you would see them other places. And so that's what it would allow to do. So you can actually be someone who is born in France and you can be a French citizen, but yet you could go and work in Germany or you can work someplace else. And that's what the European Union allowed you to do. Being a member of that European Union, it allowed you to do that. Some of the constraints was if you were, let's say, the United Kingdom, and you wanted to do trade with someone who is not a part of the European Union, you would have to go through the European Union in order to negotiate or to contract that trade. Okay, so for instance, let's say that you wanted some wheat from America. America's are not a part of the European Union, but you would have to go through the European Union, which is a council of members from each of those countries, and you would have to go through them and get the approval process before you brought in anything that was outside of that European Union, those countries. The European Union was created because there was a Frenchman that did that, and it was after the World War II, I believe. They said, listen, we got to do something because we need to make sure that at least there are alliances so there's never a war like it was when they had it. And they did, so they created it. And that is the safety protocol that they put in place. And ever since then, there has not been a war in Europe at that magnitude like it was back in those days. And so that's what it was really about. It was really about creating a safe zone where war would not occur. But then immigration came in, trading came in, and all like that. So what does it mean for Europe? Well, it means a lot because each one of those countries have to pay into the European Union. Britain pays a lot of money to be a member. Every country has to pay. Britain pays a lot to be a part of that union. That union has a budget. That union's budget pays for protocols, safety protocols, trade arrangements, all like that. They pay for that. What happens is it's sort of like, let's say you go to dinner and the bill is for 10 people, and those 10 people, the bill comes to $500, right? But not every one of those individuals are paying equally. But let's say normally what would happen is you would split the bill, okay? But when you split the bill, everybody's paying $100 a piece. But if somebody pulls out, that means that $100 that person is not paying, it has to be split among the remaining members of the European Union. So therefore, it could create a hardship on those countries that did not expect to have that in their budget to pay that. So it has a ripple effect. It really does. It has a ripple effect. So it also, and let me bring up another analogy to bring that in, because that's very important. Something just came across my mind. So let's say that you're going to buy land, and there's 10 people who have $10,000 apiece, and that's their budget. And they went in there and they bought that land for $100,000. Everybody put it on the table. But let's say one of the individuals has committed, because they are in a financial position better, they are going to pay $20,000. Or no, let's keep it even. Let's keep it all the way across the board, $10,000 apiece. But now somebody says, I don't want to do the deal. I don't want to do it. I can't come up with 10,000. I don't want to do it. Now remember, there are other countries that are connected with Britain, so they're going to pull out too. So then somebody else, when I mean pull out, because they're connected to Britain, like Ireland, there's some other countries, they are going to come out because they're Protestant countries too. Ireland is partly Protestant and partly Catholic. So you got, I forgot what, Northern and Southern Ireland, because they now that's the other thing. I'll come back to Ireland in a minute. But let's say the table is now $20,000 short. The remainder of the members have to take on that task. They got to take it on every year, and that's just the membership dues. There's other things too. People who work in London who may live someplace else, they may not be able to do that freely because now you're going to have to get a visa. So that becomes an issue because you are not a part of the union. Britain could say you can't just travel through here anymore. You can't just trade. Everything is changing. Everything is changing. Immigration laws are going to change. So Britain is going to be like America. If you want to come in, you got to have a passport. Okay, you can only stay for a certain amount of time, and that's the way it's going to be. And you got to remember, Britain is by a lot of other European countries. Let me try to think of some of them. France, Belgium, I believe Spain is a part of it. I'm not going to stop there while I'm ahead. But there's a lot of Germany is a part of it. So things are going to change. Things with jobs are going to change because that big country poured out. So protocols change, and that's what the issue with the Brexit. It was costing the UK too much money. They felt like it was more advantageous for them to get out of the union than to stay in the union. But prophecy is they have to come out because the European Union is also called the Treaties of Rome. It's got Rome written all over it, and we all know what that means. So, with that being said, the younger people, the younger individuals, it was advantageous for them to stay in because they could maneuver, they could travel, they could go here, there freely. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. The luxury of doing that, they won't be able to do that. You'll be able to go to London and say, you know what, I'm going over to Italy. Can't do that no more. Okay? When this thing gets in a place, you have to have a passport. And you gotta show going out of one country into another and then coming back. That's how it's going to be. I'm passing the Hard Rock Stadium where the Super Bowl is going to be at to my left. And I'm looking at the traffic on the going over there, and let me tell you, it is packed. It's amazing. But like I said, it's a beautiful day for a Super Bowl, those that are into it. So let's also talk about getting back domestically here, what's going on within our nation. I lost you all for a second, that the United States. So the Senate is going to vote on Monday, and pretty much, it's either Monday or Wednesday, but pretty much everything is done with the impeachment process. He's going to be acquitted. There's no impeachment. This is not one of these things where somebody can say, I told you so, I knew it. No, the handwriting was already on the wall. I mean, again, everybody could see what was going to happen. It's going to wake up a political base that was sleeping, that's going to wake up the rest of them, and you're going to see a record number of individuals come out and vote for Donald Trump, especially on those that are of the conservative realm. And you got to understand conservatives. Conservatives have been sleeping for a long time. And let me give you a disclaimer. I'm not for, against any of that. I'm just talking it out. The conservatives are going to come out in record number, and they're going to vote Republican. The Conservative Party does not support LGBT. They do not support abortion. They do not support any of those things. And they're going to vote for Trump because Trump has brought out certain laws that the Democrats push. For instance, you could go into the military, join the army, and when you go in, you could say, hey, I want my gender change, and the army would perform the surgery. Trump says no. When he became president, he said, no, we're not doing that. That's the way that went down. So it is what it is. You can go, certain teenagers could go in certain states and go get an abortion and not tell their parent about it, not bring in anybody. Trump says no. So some of these things these are the conservatives that are going to come out and they're going to vote. That's what's going to happen in this election. It's going to be probably a record number of individuals. The other thing I'm looking at is I go by statistically. 1820, there was a plague. 1920, there was a plague. We're in 2020. Every 100 years, historically speaking, there becomes an epidemic plague on something. I have no idea what it could be. Our water system is not the best. Some cities have the best water, and they really go through paramount efforts to keep water safe and clean. But things like, I think it's cholera or cholera, so whatever people call it, I think you may see that this year. I think you may see salmonella this year. I think you might see other type of outbreaks here in the United States, where like China, we may not be able to travel abroad. Now that doesn't mean that there's going to be, I'm not saying that that's prophetic or anything like that. I'm just saying going by historical, what has happened in the past. It's time for that to happen. We have not seen a recession. A recession is when the economy drops a certain percentage for, I think it's either 3 or 6 consecutive months. We haven't seen that. I think we could see that in 2020. So I would tell you, in 2020, just be where you need to be at spiritually. I'm not saying that you got to go build a bunker. I'm not saying that you got to go and buy water and buy canned goods. I'm not saying all of that. I'm not putting out a scare tactic or nothing like that. I'm saying do what you've done in the past, when you should always have at least 3 months of bills, 3 months of finances to pay your bills. You should have that. You got to remember, this Democratic Party and this Republican Party do not like each other. There is division in America. And where there's division in America, sorry about that, things happen. Where there's division in America, things happen. And that's interesting. Yeah, where there's division. So again, this Republican Party does not like the Democrats. The Democrats do not like the Republicans. They're going at each other, and they don't care who it impacts. Just like when they shut down the government, you could see some more of that next year. It's what it is. And when America is divided, like other countries were, America controlled other countries by creating division. Now America is divided. This is the most I've ever seen America divided. It is what it is. Now, what I'm interested is in this. The Republicans are very revengeful people, very revengeful. Mark my words on this. They are very, very revengeful people. That's just the party. That's just the way that party is. Okay? Again, I'm not speaking for, against. I'm just putting down what it is, facts. They are a very revengeful group of individuals, especially when they get in power. So here's what nobody's looking at. Now that Donald Trump is going to be not to be impeached, my curiosity is, what did the Bidens do? Nobody talks about that yet. And don't think that the Democrats don't have this on the back burner. They was just waiting. The Republicans. Believe you me, they got this on the back burner. I want to know, what did the Bidens do? His son was on a board. He got $3 million. And that's what Trump wanted them to investigate. And he went through, and when he realized nobody was going to investigate it, he flexed his muscles. And the Democrats went down that road. The Democrats didn't have a choice. When you go after their candidate and you're trying to open up a can of worms, they have to go after you. That's the only hope that they got. That was a defensive strike, by the way. What the Democrats did in coming after Donald Trump was a defensive strike, because Donald Trump was going to open up a can of worms. I'm almost convinced of that, because I want to know, what did the Bidens do? What did, nobody is hitting on that. And Trump went down that road. Let me tell you something about politicians. There is an allegiance with politicians. When they get in office, they make sure that certain family members get set up. That's just what people do who are in politics. That's natural. America was built on that. Okay? So that's a code of conduct that is fine. And sometimes you don't find out about it until years later. I'm sure Donald Trump's family is somewhere, somehow, somebody's getting paid. Just like every Democratic president. Somebody's getting paid somewhere, somehow. That's just the way it is. But I think that maybe, perhaps, somebody crossed the line. And they usually do. They don't get caught. Nobody says nothing. It stays amongst the thieves. And so that's the way that is. But Donald Trump pushed the button because he wants to win the election. They don't like him. They've been trying to impeach him. So he pushed a button that the code of ethics, not code of ethics, the code of rules among thieves, certain things you don't do. Donald Trump, he's not a politician, he's a businessman. When you went after him, there is no code of conduct among the thiefhoods anymore. He's going to do what he's got to do to survive. And he did. And that's why they don't like him. That's why they don't like him. So now he's coming back, and he has created a division in America between the two major political parties. It's not going to stop. If you just watch to see what some of these individuals are doing, it's not going to stop. So those of us that are biblically based, what do? Nothing you can do. Just sit back and watch the fight. That's all. Just sit back and watch it. When I watch what happened in Charlottesville, it looked like a civil war to me. I never seen folk fight each other. I'm talking about majority. That was the blacks that were there. They didn't have to be there. Okay, they didn't have to be there. It wasn't their fight, wasn't their battle. They went there. I know people that lived in that city, They wasn't even nowhere near or involved, white or black. They had nothing to do with that. They stayed at home. So people came from around different places to join into that fight because that's what they want. And let me tell you, if you look on both sides of the fence who was fighting, you're going to see some more of that. And like I said, that's not prophecy. That's just how things are. And that's what's going to happen. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting decade. Those of you that believe in the 400-year slavery, I'm not finished with you yet. I'm going to still jump on that because 2019 passed and everybody talking about reparations. Ain't nobody talking about nothing. It's an item that's gone and forgotten about. Statistically, crime was high in Baltimore, high in Chicago. Don't sound like that nobody's going to get set free to me. So I haven't forgot about you. I'm not going to leave it alone because some of y'all came at me on that, and I'm going to I just sit back and said, you know what, time is going to tell. And I'm going to come back on that one. I'm not letting that one go. Not letting that one go. I'm going to come back so we can teach. And that's the only way that people can see what to prepare for. You need to be preparing for the abomination of the desolation standing in the holy place. Look at what's happening with the Brexit movement. The pieces of the puzzle are getting together. Okay? You're not going to get reparations. The only time that anything major is going to happen is when the Messiah comes. He says, I will gather you one by one from the nations wherein you have been scattered. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen until he returns. And he's not going to return until the abomination of the desolation stands in the holy place, as spoken by the prophet Daniel. And I can tell you the pieces of the puzzle are lining up for that. It's lining up. So all that being said, I had a good time with you all. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button. And we'll talk soon. Peace.